Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Kini News. Former Penang Chief Minister Lim Guan Eng, who claimed trial to a corruption charge at the Butterworth Sessions Court this morning, stressed that the accusation against him is baseless and politically motivated.
Former Penang Chief Minister Lim Guan Eng has claimed trial to a charge at the Butterworth Sessions Court for allegedly using his position at the time for personal gratification of RM 3.3 million in relation to the Penang undersea tunnel project. He is alleged to have committed the act to help a tunnel contractor company owned by one Zarul Ahmad Muhammad Zulkifli between January 2011 and August 2017 at the Chief Minister's office in Komtar. According to the charge sheet, Lim used his position as Chief Minister for the bribe. He was charged under Section 23(1) of the MACC Act 2009 and faces a jail term of up to 20 years and a fine not less than 5 times the amount of the bribe upon conviction. In a press conference, Lim stressed that the accusations against him were baseless.
This is baseless and is politically motivated. Up to now, MACC has not shown where is the money that I'm alleged to have taken his corruption money, as gratification. There's no 3.3 million in my bank account related to that amount of gratification, no 3.3 million cash in my possession. So if there's no 3.3 million in my bank account or 3.3 million ringgit in my possession has cash, where is the corruption? And over this 6 years period, I think this is necessary for me to fight in court to prove my innocence, and this is a process that I would have to undergo. And as I want to stress again, MACC in their investigations, when they question me, they never ask me that they have found that sum of money in my bank account or in my possession as cash. In fact, they refused to ask me this question. It was me who asked them, why you never ask me this question?
The case has been transferred to the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court and no bail was imposed on Lim today. Last Friday, Lim had claimed trial at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court to a charge of soliciting a bribe in connection with the same project.
2 areas in the state of Perlis are the latest to be placed under a targeted enhanced movement control order or TEMCO from the 10th to the 31st of August.
Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob announced that 2 villages in Kuala Sanglang, Perlis have been placed under a targeted enhanced movement order from August 10th until August 31st. He said the decision was made following an increase in active COVID-19 cases linked to the Sivaganga cluster.
2 kampung yang terlibat di Perlis iaitu Kampung Kuala Sanglang dan juga Kampung Tanah Timbul. PKPD secara bersasar pentadbiran ini akan bermula dari 10 Ogos sehingga 31 Ogos 2020 yang melibatkan 191 buah rumah dengan 872 penduduk.
Under the targeted enhanced MCO, roadblocks will be erected at selected entry points and all movements in and out of the area are not allowed except for delivery of groceries to shops within the area. Ismail Sabri added that existing standard operating procedures will be used. Residents are permitted to go out within the area to purchase essential goods, and shops selling essential goods as well as restaurants offering takeaway services will be allowed to operate from 8 AM to 6 PM.
Malaysia has recorded 5 imported and 6 locally transmitted COVID-19 cases today.
Malaysia recorded 11 new cases of COVID-19 infections as of noon today, bringing the total to 9,094 cases since the beginning of the outbreak. Health Ministry Director General Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said that out of the 11, 5 were imported cases involving Malaysians and 6 were locally transmitted cases.
5 kes import tersebut adalah pulang pada negara Australia iaitu 3 kes, Jepun 1 kes dan Singapura 1 kes. Daripada 6 kes penularan di dalam negara, 5 kes adalah di kalangan warga negara Malaysia dan satu kes adalah bukan warga negara Malaysia, iaitu kes saringan di tempat kerja di negeri Selangor. Beliau tidak bergejala dan telah dimasukkan ke Hospital Sungai Buloh untuk pemerhatian dan rawatan.
Dr. Nur Hisham added that out of the 5 locally transmitted cases involving Malaysian citizens, 3 are from the Kurau cluster that was detected in Perak through contact tracing and active case detection. 1 case was detected in Johor through pre-operation screening at a private hospital, and another was detected while being admitted to a ward at a private hospital in Malacca.
The Health Director General, Dr. Nur Hisham, also responded to a question on the use of face shields as an alternative to face masks for school children.
Unlike face masks, there has yet to be clinical proof that face shields are effective against the spread of COVID-19, said Health Ministry Director General, Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah. However, he said that using a face shield was better than not having any face covering at all. Dr. Nur Hisham was responding to a question on Defence Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob's statement that the Health Ministry had been instructed to study the feasibility of using alternatives to disposable face masks at school.
Dan juga kita telah melihat iaitu menggunakan face shield, dan boleh digunakan face shield iaitu menutup, tetapi kita tak ada lagi bukti-bukti klinikal yang mengatakan dia dapat mencegah, tetapi sekurang-kurangnya kita ada perlindungan menggunakan face shield tersebut. Dan untuk face mask, kita telah ada bukti mengatakan kalau kita menggunakan face mask, kita dapat memutuskan jangkitan penularan COVID-19 iaitu lebih kurang 60-65%. Dan kalau kita tambah dengan penjarakan fizikal, kita boleh meningkatkan lagi, memutuskan peratus jangkitan COVID-19. Jadi lebih baik memakai face shield daripada tidak memakai langsung. Jadi ini kita galakkan mereka untuk memakai face mask ataupun face shield.
Coming up after the break, protesters in the Lebanese capital of Beirut clash with police as they take to the streets outside their parliament. Hong Kong's new national security law sees its highest profile arrest since its implementation. All that and more after this right here on Kini News. Lebanese riot police wearing body armor and wielding batons fired tear gas to try and disperse protesters hurling rocks and blocking a road near Parliament in Beirut on Sunday.
Lebanese police fired tear gas to try to disperse rock-throwing protesters blocking a road near Parliament in Beirut on Sunday, in a second day of anti-government demonstrations triggered by last week's devastating explosion. Protesters stormed government ministries and called for the downfall of the government and the political establishment. They said Lebanese President Michael Aoun represents a political class that has ruled Lebanon for decades and is to blame for its current crisis. 2 government ministers has resigned amid the political fallout of the blast and months of economic crisis, saying the government had failed to reform. Tuesday's explosion in Beirut had killed 158 people and injured more than 6,000, compounding months of political and economic meltdown and prompting furious calls for the government to quit. The Prime Minister and Presidency said that 2,750 tons of highly explosive ammonium nitrate, which is used in making fertilizers and bombs, had been stored for 6 years without safety measures at the port warehouse. The government has said it will hold those responsible to account.
International border closures were unlikely to lift before Christmas, said Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison as the country reported a record single-day rise in COVID-19 deaths.
Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison said internal border closures were unlikely to be lifted before Christmas, as the country on Monday reported a record single-day rise in COVID-19 deaths. There was, however, some evidence that drastic lockdown measures in the city of Melbourne were having an effect, with daily new infections in the state of Victoria slowing to a near 2-week low. Victoria State, which is home to Melbourne, the country's second biggest city, and the epicenter of its second coronavirus wave, reported 19 people had died from the virus over the past 24 hours. With other states yet to report daily new case and death numbers, the number already marks the country's biggest single-day rise in fatalities. Melbourne, home to nearly 5 million people, has been in lockdown since early July, with people largely confined to their homes and businesses shuttered. State Premier Daniel Andrews said on Monday he understood frustrations but declined to put an end date on the lockdown. With around 21,000 COVID-19 cases and 314 deaths, Australia has still recorded fewer infections and fatalities than many other developed nations. It was considered a global leader early in the pandemic when it was swift to close its international border, impose social distancing restrictions, and implement mass virus testing. But as the country began to reopen, community transmissions rose significantly in Victoria, where triple-digit daily new cases have now been recorded for weeks. Authorities are worried that the spike in cases in Victoria has already spread to other states despite border closures.
Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai became the highest-profile person arrested under a new national security law on Monday, detained over suspected collusion with foreign forces as around 200 police officials searched the offices of his newspaper called Apple Daily.
Hong Kong police made the highest-profile arrest yet under China's new national security law for the city on Monday. Media tycoon Jimmy Lai was taken in by police on suspicion of collusion with foreign forces. Lai has been one of the most prominent democracy activists in the Chinese-ruled city and is an ardent critic of Beijing. His company, Next Media, publishes the local tabloid Apple Daily. Apple Daily, which posted on its Facebook page a live stream of police officers roaming through its newsroom and rifling through files, reported that Lai had been taken from his home early on Monday. The live feed showed staff being asked to show identity documents. Some executive officers were sealed off. The police later wheeled in stacks of empty plastic containers. Lai's arrest comes amid Beijing's crackdown against pro-democracy opposition in the city, and further stokes concern about media and other freedoms promised to the former British colony when it returned to China in 1997. China had imposed a sweeping new security law on Hong Kong on June 30th, drawing condemnation from Western countries. It punishes with up to life in prison anything China considers as subversion, secession, terrorism, or collusion with foreign forces. Critics say it crushes freedoms in Hong Kong, while supporters say it will bring stability after last year's prolonged pro-democracy protests. On Monday morning, the city's police said they had arrested 7 people on suspicion of breaching the city's new national security law. They cited offences, including collusion with foreign powers, and said the arrested were all local men aged 39 to 72, without naming them. Police said the operation was ongoing and further arrests were possible.
And that's all we have time for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. Don't forget, you can also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for the latest news updates. Remember to stay safe, wash your hands, and maintain social distancing. I'm Daniel Anthony. Thank you for watching.